thanks for joining us from the Norris Theater. We are here today to take you behind the scenes of the hit show, Guys and Dolls.
I know when my love comes along, I won't take a chance, for he'll be just what I need, not some fly-by-night Broadway romance.
We are joined now by Beth Obregon. Beth, let's talk a little bit about your character here today in Guys and Dolls.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, I'm playing Sarah Brown.
Yep.
She is the head of the Save a Soul mission,
Okay.
and they are a mission in New York City that is struggling to find sinners to redeem. So she's frustrated. Her and her grandfather run the mission, and then Sky Masterson shows up and kind of changes everything.
Okay, now this is the first time for you at the Norris, is that right?
It is, yes, my first time here.
Okay. I know you work at Disneyland. Talk a little bit about that. I know that you sing in Aladdin and a couple other shows.
I do, yes. I've been at Disney for 5 years, and I've done the Aladdin Spectacular the entire time, all 5.
Oh.
And I actually have worked with my co-star, Chris Gilbert, for the last 3.5 years. We do a show there together as well. So,
You know, I know that getting into Disney takes quite a lot. What was the audition process like for you to get in there?
you know, it's kind of a funny story. I auditioned for the Aladdin Spectacular 9 times before I finally made it in, but now I've been there 5 years. So once you're in, you're golden after that.
That's great. Now, as far as performing at Disneyland, how often do you do that? Is that a daily thing, or how does it work?
You know, it really depends. Right now, we are on non-peak schedules.
Okay.
So while I'm doing the show, I'm only working on Fridays to accommodate our schedule here. But then with the summer schedule that just ended, all the shows run for 7 days at a time. So I was working 5-6 days a week.
That's kind of like soap opera pace almost, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be pretty exhausting. You have to pace yourself a little bit.
Okay, talk a little bit about this theater. It's such an amazing place to be an actor and to watch the show as well. Just what have you gotten from being here so far?
You know, it's a really warm space. I really like the atmosphere here. Jim is wonderful. We go back quite a few years, and he's doing such a great job of kind of breathing new life into this company. It's really great to see, and I'm just excited to perform for the Rolling Hills audience.
That's really great, and I'm sure they're going to be very excited to see you as well. Just tell us a little bit more about the show and how it's going.
It's going great. We're right on schedule. We're starting run-throughs, which is great. We can really start kind of getting the pace of the show, the feel of what it's going to be when it's all finished up. And I'm just excited to get into costumes and get the sets and start to see the whole picture.
About the character first, Jeff.
The character, well, he's kind of a, he's the head gambler who kind of actually just always wants to make a buck, you know, the easiest way he possibly can.
Sure.
And he is just always running around trying to get everybody to give him money and making bets that he thinks he's going to win, but he never actually does.
Okay. And how's your game of craps? That's what I really want to know.
Not very good, especially when the guy who's playing me, Big Julie, is cheating the entire time.
Of course. That just makes it more fun.
Right, exactly. He's rolling no spot dice, blank dice. So.
Now, you've done so much regional theater and so many different shows. Just tell me some of your favorites that you've done before.
Let's see. I loved How to Succeed in Business.
Okay.
This show I've done like 10 times,
Wow.
as well as every part in it except Adelaide. And let's see. I just did The Underpants by Steve Martin down in Long Beach. And I do Man of La Mancha a lot. It's my favorite. And Music Man a lot, yeah. A lot of shows. My roots are in theater.
You
So.
know, it's interesting. They call Guys and Dolls the perfect musical.
Yeah.
How much pressure is that for you as an actor to think about, you know, this is like the perfect musical comedy?
It is a lot of pressure because a lot of people know this musical and they come in expecting a certain thing. And my goal is to make the role my own. And, you know, sometimes you go see it and it's, you know, everything's great. The lights go on and off at a great time. And everybody can be seen and heard, but the characters are kind of like, oh, I've seen it before. I try to make it my own. And,
I think, you know, it's interesting. I think that's probably the biggest challenge for any actor is trying to take apart and say, okay, you know, how can I change this up a little bit? Do you find the same thing when you're working with your co-stars? Everybody's really trying to do that.
Yeah. If they know what they're doing, they are. Yes. You know, my goal is to have the people in the audience come out and say, I can picture anybody else playing that part. So.
Right. Well, that would be the ultimate compliment for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
you've done a lot of comedy on television too. Talk about that, and just talk about the difference between theater and television, because I think that people sometimes don't really understand it.
Yeah, it's a different medium, all right.
Sure.
I'll tell you. It's much softer, and you know, and all the cameras are right in front of your face, so it's not as big.
Right.
You know, not big herky-jerky movements, and you know, saying your lines as loud as you possibly can. It's much softer and natural, and I love that. I try to bring a little bit of that to stage, but you have to walk a fine line in order to do that.
It's so much bigger on stage. Everything's
Yeah.
a lot bigger than a TV. Like you said, it's cameras and lights and everything kind of right there. So
Exactly. Yeah. So it's but it's I like both. I mean, I do commercials, theater, TV. I guess those are the three main mediums, and it's every single one of them is different. You need to know how to do something different about it.
you know, comedy is so much harder, I think, than drama.
Yes.
And there's that timing that you have to have. Is that an innate thing or something you can learn? What's your feeling on that?
It's innate.
Yeah.
It's not something you can learn. Yeah, you get that early. Yeah, that's gotten at conception. So that's it.
That's
yeah,
it. It's just a part of who you are.
yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
Timing is something you don't learn.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting being in this theater. We love talking about it because it's such an actor's theater. You feel comfortable and warm here. Talk about that.
Yeah, oh gosh, I love it here. It's my first show here, but already I feel so welcomed and just unbelievable. The cast is fantastic. I look forward to coming to the rehearsals every night, and it's just wonderful. I really do. And it's so close for me because I live so nearby, so it's just so great. But
You're just a local guy. You could pretty much just run up the hill.
yeah, such a hop, skip, and a jump. I love it. That makes it so even better. But cast is great. I have so much fun so far. It's only the beginning too.
Yeah. Now, how many? You're almost 2 more weeks away. Is that right?
Yeah, about 2 more weeks away. We open on the 23rd, and it's going very well so far.
Until then, I shall wait. Until then, I'll be strong. For when my love comes along.
No. You're talking about love. You can't dope it like that. What are you picking, a guy or a horse?
Well, I wouldn't expect a gambler to understand.
Would you like to hear how a gambler feels about the big heartthrob?
No.
Well, I'll tell you. Mine will come as a surprise to me. Mine I leave to chance and chemistry.
Chemistry?
Yeah, chemistry.
All right, we are now here with Chris Gilbert, who is playing Sky Masterson, and you and I were just teasing a little bit about these names. They're just so memorable.
Yes, they are. Yes, the sky. I think I fit because I'm tall, so maybe
Okay,
I'm
that works.
actually reaching the sky in this building. So
And that's how you got the audition and the job, right?
Right, exactly right. Yeah, they say, well, we need somebody who can actually grab a cloud if
There
need
you
be,
go. There you
and
go.
use it, turn it into dice, and roll it. So it'll be fun.
You have been here before, working in this great theater. Talk a little bit about the part and then working in the theater here.
Well, first of all, the part, Sky is a gambler, like so many of these characters, and there is a distinction in this show that it isn't, for the most part, they're not really gangsters. There's a tendency sometimes to think, well, these guys are gangsters. They're not really in the Al Capone mold. The sense of violence is sort of removed largely from this. So they're gamblers. They're guys who take chances, but it's a fable. The show is a fable of Broadway, so it was always intended to be the lighter version of that. So Sky is... I think in this particular case is somebody who we see him in the middle of, oddly enough, an existential crisis. He's living the life, and he's very good at it, and also very fortunate. But he's also at a point in his life where maybe that isn't. He's recognizing that isn't all there is, which is different. Maybe that's what sets him apart from some of the other characters, because they never get that opportunity to see whether they're happy or not with their life. It's just this is what they do.
Right.
He's in a different place, and I think that's why when he runs across Sarah, which is on a bet, he makes a bet and that he has to do this, but it's one of those classic. You make the bet and then you find out that was what it was all along. So there's kismet and that sort of thing in there too.
Right. Now, how about your gambling personally? Are you a gambling man?
Well, in the sense that I've chosen acting as a profession, I suppose I wake up taking a risk every day that I'm not going to eat. But I tend not to be much of a gambler, no.
So no method acting going on here, right?
No, I've not been going to Vegas to try to prepare for this, no.
There we go. Talk a little bit about your background in acting, because you've done so much.
Well, oddly enough, my real background and one of the things I'm excited about is almost 25 years ago, I did Sky Masterson at Rolling Hills High School, what is now Peninsula High School. And I just learned that I think my director from that, Connie McIntyre, is going to come and see the show. So it's really neat.
So we'll get to see if you're actually better than when you were in high school, right?
She will be probably among the only people able to qualified to tell that. But there hopefully will be some friends of mine, their parents and stuff that still live in the area. So, but yeah, I performed here the first well, it was probably the first year or so that this building opened in '83.
Oh, okay.
My family moved to the peninsula when it opened, so we've been here all along. So my whole family has performed here at one time or another. My brother and my mom and my dad. So I spent a lot of time here, and when we first started, Rolling Hills High School did some productions on this stage as well.
Wow.
Even before there were sort of kids programs, because it was so early on, they hadn't developed the Negri Center and all that. But so it's really neat for me to come back here and just be a part of it, because it is absolutely home. It's where I really grew up. You know, at least in those 4 years of high school, I was here a lot, and so it's neat every time to come back here. But I've also performed all around the country and a number of different things. So I've been performing mostly in theater and some film and television as well.
You know, it's interesting because this theater it's so much like home for so many people, and you've got some actors here that are working here for the first time. What's that kind of like for you to be so at home and see new guys come in?
Well, it's one of the great things about theater and live performance in general is the shared storytelling. So that's not just between the performers and the people who eventually come to see the shows, but there is a legacy. The British have a tremendous history of passing down stories of theater, you know, whether it's mishaps, you know, sandbag falling on somebody's head, or those great moments when something happened. And so everyone who comes into the building for the show begins to develop not only that moment's energy, but also they bring the energy from all the shows they've ever done. And some people, though they may have never performed here before, have done lots of shows other places. So you start, you know, it's a 6 degrees of separation. You start playing or Kevin Bacon or whoever. You start playing that game, and you find out that, oh, you know, so-and-so has worked with, you know, oh, that was my kid brother who was in the show you did 12 years ago, and you never knew. And so there's a lot of that camaraderie that builds itself.
It's a very small world for sure.
It tends to be, and the longer you stick around and hang on to the edge of the cliff and perform, the more people you find that you know that do it, because it does take some true dedication.
Right.
And particularly in theater in Los Angeles, most of them are not paying all of the actors a full-time living wage. You know, it's not a lucrative field, despite what people may think. It's not terribly glamorous. So you do it for the love of it, and there are gradations of that, but people do it because they generally are committed to the energy of what that is, and the energy of storytelling. And so that's kind of the fun thing to share in the rehearsal process and then into the show itself. And I think it usually manifests well if the cast has done a lot of that bonding, because one of the greatest comments you can get from an audience is, hey, that looked like you guys were having a great time.
Exactly.
And that can be damning with faint praise, but usually it means I was so engaged in what was going on because everybody was committed to this telling of the story, and that's the most important thing I think we can do. Am I right? Am I wise? Am I smart? But I'll stop and I'll stare at that face in the throng, for I'll know when my love comes along. When my love comes along. I'll drop in again in case you want to take a crack at the other cheek.
And you can come and see these fabulous actors in the show Guys and Dolls right here at the Norris Theater, September 23rd through October 9th. Come down, it's going to be a great show, and if you want more information, you can always go to norriscenter.com. I'm Maria Sorrell, and we will see you at the show.